All righty.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. It is Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning up. Sorry, I stand up. Morning, how you doing?
Do we have any minutes and reports received? in
Barry.
file?
Yes, we have the auditor's May 2025 revenue and expenditure report, recorder, and the county clerk's May 2025 fees.
Commissioner Committee liaison reports, upcoming meetings and events.
We got a meeting this afternoon with Landmark Recovery, got the Sheriff's Barbecue this afternoon, evening. Had a meeting tomorrow morning for the Minmo Community Voices Advisory Board, Thursday School County Extension, Lions, Friday Eastside Business Association, and then the Relay for Life is going to be out of Special Olympics from 5 till it's like 10:30. They've got the final lap and closing ceremonies. You got kids games and activities for you, Sam. So something for everyone. I think that's it.
This afternoon, our Parks Committee meeting is going to be held at County Park, and we are going to recognize our past chairman, the late Tom Piper, with a memorial there, a Eagle Scout project from young Mr. Landwehr. We're going to do that as part of that Parks Committee meeting. A good event for a very good man who served the county for a long time. That's it.
Yeah, I don't have much this week, so I will be at the Sheriff's Barbecue, rain or shine. And then I don't have anything. Saturday and Sunday, the Jefferson City Public School Foundation has a class reunion for all old farts. I don't know, baby boomers, anyway. That's one of those days. And that's all I've got for this week. So, presentation from MU Extension. Ma'am,
Wow.
we worked long and hard to come up with a date
Yes,
that
I
would
know.
work, but I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Is this my little speaker here? Is this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm a little crowded here.
No, you're good. Okay, so this is just my quarterly report. Like Commissioner Bushman mentioned, we had originally planned on a different date and then had to reschedule, and that's perfectly fine. I like being able to come here and just meet with you guys and give you an update about once a quarter about the different things that are happening in the county. And so what you have in front of you are reports from Kathy Deacon, our field specialist in nutrition and health, Druba DeCall, our field specialist in horticulture, excuse me, Christy Brandel, our field specialist in livestock, Sean Eberly, our 4-H educator in youth development, and then my own impact report. And you can see the variety of things that they're doing in the different counties that they serve, including Cole. Kathy focuses mostly on not just nutrition, but health, physical health. And so she does a lot of courses that have to do with chronic disease self-management, reducing fall risk for individuals through things like Stay Strong, Stay Healthy, and Tai Chi, and then also a matter of balance. And so she works on several of those different programs. And then I know that she's recently received certification in the second version of the Tai Chi, and is piloting that with our state specialists in some of the different counties that she covers to provide even more education on that fall risk, because that is a concern when you look at the data in the Tri-County area that she serves. And then Druba, our horticulturalist, is busy with not just working through the Master Pollinator program, but a lot of other one-off programs like tomato production and things like that. And then he's always receiving lots of calls and walk-ins, especially this time of year. We actually have a tomato plant on the back counter that we're trying to get to the bottom of what is going on with it. It's got some really interesting growth patterns, and we're trying to figure out if it's some a mosaic virus, or if it's too much nitrogen in the soil, or if it's a pesticide thing. And so he's working on that one. And so that's kind of this time of year, we get folks bringing in all different kinds of interesting plants and bugs and things like that to try and figure out what they are. Chrissy, our livestock specialist, is working on quite a few different projects. I know she just finished up one of her Show Me Select sales. And then as far as Sean goes with 4-H, they're just starting their real busy season. I know that they are doing, they're partnering with West Elementary and doing programming every day with them during summer school. They get each of the grades of kids, I think, for about 30 minutes, and it just rolls throughout the day, and they're covering lots of different programs through 4-H with them, whether it's nutrition or animals or geology or robotics. There's all different kinds of things that they're doing with them. And then summer camp starts for them this month as well. And then next thing you know, it's the fair. It's in July, and so it's really their busy season. So that's kind of what we've got going on in the office right now. But we're always looking for other ways to work with folks and partner with folks. And so anybody who is in attendance that knows of any ways that some of our resources could help serve the public, or if you guys have any specific requests, that's what I'm here for.
See, you're just so good, Elizabeth. You packed all this down into a short, concise, you did well.
Sure, thank you.
Fair will be here before you know it.
Yes, yes. All right, well, if anybody has any questions, my contact information is on my impact report, and we're just gonna keep going along, trying to meet the needs of people in Cole County.
So we can bring, if we have a plant that's not doing well, we can just.
Oh,
it
yeah,
out to-
bring it in.
Off of Lorenzo Green Drive, just come out there.
Yeah. Yep, yeah, Druba, he's good at getting to the bottom. He gets calls about, oh, I need help with knowing how to prune my fruit trees, or, oh, what's this crazy, pest that I've found on my flowers or whatever. That's what he's there for, so, yeah. All right, thank you all so much.
All right, thanks, Elizabeth.
Okay, commission comments, bids and contracts. Okay, new business, accounts payable review,
There's none.
approval of care leave committee members.
We have approval of a new care leave committee member of Matt Pringer. Matt will be replacing Kevin Light's position for the rest of his term, and his term will end August 1st of 2028.
Good. I'll make a motion to approve Matt Pringer as care leave committee member to finish out Kevin Light's position.
Yes.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Approval of purchase with fire station furniture for EMS Station 4.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
So this is a quote from Fire Station Furniture for the furniture going into the remodel in Bruzito. If you recall, we have a long-standing relationship with Fire Station Furniture. They've been very good to work with and build furniture that is especially designed for this communal living. We had an issue, as you recall, with our recliners that they replaced the entire fleet on them. So happy to continue to do business with them as much as possible. So this is for mattresses, bed frames, nightstands, and desks for that facility. The total quote is $4,159.90 plus $659.97 in shipping for a total of $4,819.87. It is below the bid amount, and we are compliant with the purchasing agreement for Jessica. So, and this was included in the FF&E budget for the project. So, just happy to answer any questions, but I have a quote here if you'd like to approve.
Good?
Yes.
All right, since Jessica said it was okay.
Yes.
I'm giving Brian a break now, or what? All right, I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the fire station furniture for EMS Station 4.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Okay,
signature on that or anything?
There's not a space. It's just approved. We'll create a PO and go.
okay,
Okay, I didn't see any signature line on there, so.
okay. Emergency management reorganization. We are required by state to have an emergency management director, and we had lost ours, and fortunately, we were able to bring Bill Farr back in as kind of interim, but he's running out of time. And we interviewed some people, and it didn't work. None of them were qualified for what we need. So we are getting close to where we have to have an emergency management director, and Chief Hoy has come up with an option that we can try out for a year. So I would let you
Yeah.
present, please.
Thank you. So I just did put together a little presentation here this morning. So just to add a little bit onto the background, all of the public safety officials have been pretty involved in trying to come up with a solution for emergency management, and it's taken various turns, and we've taken a lot of feedback and comments, and appreciative of everybody sharing their thoughts. Fairly early on in the process, one of the avenues that I was approached with from Commissioner Helsher was to explore the idea of leveraging some current county employees to fulfill the needs of emergency management. Obviously, those employees are here with us and are within our organization. So really kind of the scope of this work really is, went to evaluating job descriptions from an organizational standpoint. Do we have the capacity? And then what does that organizational chart look like? What happens when there is an emergency? And where do we kind of go from here? So I'm not going to get super in-depth in this, but just did have a little bit. So the objective of this project was to provide an operationally viable solution to address the ongoing vacancy in the emergency management position by leveraging our current qualified county employees, and we'll get into their qualifications here in a minute. So the proposal that I brought to you today is to create a unified agency under the umbrella of Cole County Emergency Services, consisting of two operational divisions: emergency medical services and emergency management. So the benefits, obviously we're going to leverage our current county resources, shared logistics and operational resources. So obviously our agency has some technology that we can bring to the table that we already have in place. It creates some redundancy. As you'll see, as we move through this presentation, we're really going from one emergency management director to two operational positions and continuing to leverage the current staff that's already in place. Obviously, our agency has well-established relationships with our other public safety partners. And then, as we kind of talked about, we're bringing qualified individuals with a wealth of all-hazard experience. So one of the avenues that we kind of talked about, and this may seem like kind of an odd place to put this, is department representation and who reports to who. And one of the things that we're cognizant of is this is not going to be the emergency medical services operating emergency management. It's empowering our people who happen to be EMS employees to fill those roles. So one of the things that came up is uniforms. So as the head of the agency, I will represent both in a combined uniform, one patch on each arm. The emergency management division staff is working on a new all hazards patch that incorporates their role as, you know, not only EMS employees, but also their all hazards environment. And then the EMS division staff, because I'm sure most of them are watching, trying to figure out what's going on. The EMS division staff will not change, and in their uniforms and branding and so on and so forth. So our position changes, and really kind of getting into the meat and potatoes of what all this means. As the chief of the agency, I'm going to oversee agency-wide administrative tasks, personnel management, all those sorts of things. And my big focus will be on the budget and financial management of both divisions. And then obviously I'll continue to play a pretty active role in EMS operations. My goal is to provide administrative support only to the two folks that will be doing the work for emergency management. We're going to take one of our positions and create the Deputy Chief of Emergency Management. They will basically assume the role of EM Director that has previously been in place, and that individual will be responsible for strategic direction, planning, mitigation, disaster coordination, and continue his current role in support services of the EMS agency. The Division Chief of Emergency Management, so this is how we're leveraging two for the price of one. So creating a Division Chief position to handle the operational pieces of EM. That's really the nitty gritty of going out in the field, you know, doing the risk assessments, doing the damage assessments, those sorts of things. That person obviously has a fairly significant background in county emergency communications, so leveraging that and formally making that position responsible, and then handling the logistics and operations of the equipment and service and things that those positions come from. So as you see there, we have two individuals identified. You know, obviously Chief Gibson's background is kind of what necessitated this conversation. So Chief Gibson holds 20. He's promoted to Battalion Chief in 2022 and Assistant Chief of Support Services in 2024, so plenty of relevant experience in our organization. But he also holds a bachelor's degree in emergency management from St. Louis University and is currently completing his master's degree from Western Governors. And he has previous law enforcement experience, which kind of brings in that all-hazard kind of background. Chief Kennedy has been here since 2017. He's promoted to Battalion Chief in 2020. He has an associate's degree from State Tech and is a certified all-hazards communications unit leader. He has vast all-hazards experience. He's currently the chief of the Cole County First Responders, assistant chief of the emergency response team, and a lieutenant with Cole County Fire Protection District. So I think when we look at these two individuals and their backgrounds combined, you know, you do see that all hazards type of experience and the ability to speak those languages. There have been plenty of operational things that they have done in the past, whether it's you know, working in the planning and operational phases with the inauguration, disaster response. You know, some of the things that they've been doing informally have really been you know, emergency management functions that they have experience with, so we feel pretty comfortable with their expertise. So this is the normal everyday admin org chart. Obviously it gets pretty busy when you think of all the things that will come of this combined organization. So really the big changes over there on the right. You see the emergency management kind of division kind of under Chief Gibson there. The EMS training division and logistics are going to stay over there for a little bit. We're going to see how that workload kind of plays out. Chief Kennedy handles the communications, and one of the things that has allowed us to free up and make this feel that this workload is manageable is the implementation of our communication supervisors, which was approved in this year's budget. So we have that promotional process going on, and they'll kind of handle the day-to-day functions in the communications center. And then obviously Chief Geip, who's here today, remains the chief of the emergency response team, the hazmat team. You know, our job as the you know, umbrella organization is just to provide them support. They kind of do their own thing, and that's their expertise. And then this will see the current emergency management admin assistant come in under our organization and really fill kind of a role of support services officer, which is much more departed from an admin assistant, really focusing on the operational pieces and leveraging what we believe to be her expertise in an expanded role. So one of the early talking points about this is what happens when there's an emergency or disaster, and can our organization, fulfill both roles? And so we did a little bit of an exercise, and I don't know if this really follows formal ICS or what kind of incident it would be mapping, but it's a visual representation of the depth of the emergency medical services side of the house, and then also ensuring that there is direct reporting from the EM director to the elected officials or unified command or whoever may be making those decisions in the time of emergency. So if we were to go into emergency ops, we'd kind of split. EM would become their own branch. Obviously, Sam would serve in his director role with Mac and Tracy working underneath him to support the incident. On the EMS side, obviously, I would stay in charge of that branch. But when you start looking at the levels below that, you can kind of see the depth of the organization and how we respond to the question of, well, how can you afford to lose these two people in an emergency situation? So, obviously, Chief Pennington, with training and his background can handle the planning side of it. Chief Boyles is obviously the ops chief. We have Anaya, who is, taken her role as support services, but also participated in operations and gotten a lot of operational training and incident training as well. And then Battalion Chief Christensen, who has been training under Sam and to perform his logistics piece of our organization, really create that redundancy. So that's an easy change. And then we still have our other two battalion chiefs to form further operational roles. So basically, this slide is to say, yes, we've evaluated the potential impacts in a disaster situation, and for the immediate response, we feel that we can sustain that and provide those resources as needed. So the other big factor in all of this is the fiscal impact. So when we start looking at what we can offer folks, I think one of the issues traditionally with the emergency management is kind of the limited funding. So how do we leverage the resources that we have, the salary that these folks are already making, and was there an opportunity to have a positive financial change for emergency management? So as you kind of see the breakdown there, working left to right, you see a current EMS salary. Again, both of these individuals will still maintain, their presence in our organization with their normal functions. So as an agency, it's no increased cost to us. Then you kind of see how do we break down and add to their salary for their increased duties, and that's really that EM salary, which gets us over to the total. So if I've done my math correctly, the total EM budget impact is $24,000 to implement this change. The posted salary for that position was $62,500. And then, yes, there is some very small amounts of retirement and other benefits, but largely they're, healthcare benefits and other associated retirements are already on the books. So we would effectively remove that as well. So it's about a 2/3 in salary plus benefits saving. So when we start talking about what are going to be our priorities, we've done a little bit of a dive into this and looking to integrate EM equipment and resources into a joint inventory management program. So this is our operative IQ system, which tracks mileage, interfaces with services as far as maintenance and that sort of stuff. We did something similar with the first responders that's worked out really well for inventory tracking and how we support them. And then we also want to engage Lexipol, who we've had a professional services agreement with to do our grant writing. You know, last year I think they were successful up to about $500,000 in grant funding for us. So they've already, you know, said yes, we would be interested in expanding that relationship to cover the heavy grant workload for emergency management. We don't know what that agreement will look like, but that's something that we really want to dig into. One of the really important things coming out of this change, if we do decide to go to this direction today, is updating the MOU with the City of Jefferson to understand what the joint emergency management program will look like moving forward. You know, obviously, with the change in personnel, the change in organization on our side, you know, they have questions and we'll have to evaluate how that fits in with them. But I think, you know, one of the really important things is bridging that MOU and either A, making it fit the current, you know, decision that you guys make, or, you know, exploring what those other options will be. And then, you know, if we do continue to move forward in a joint manner, conditional coordination meetings, we want to make sure that we're having those regularly to make sure that, you know, everybody's aware. And then we want to wrap up our grant requirements for 2025. I know a lot of that's still pending out there. So our operational priorities, this is the work, the nitty-gritty work that these two will be kind of jumping into. Looking at the LEOP, the Emergency Operations Plan, which is kind of the all hazards playbook for the county, making sure that we're you know, good and we don't need to make any updates there. We want to develop a standardized policy and procedural manual. You know, I've reached out to some other folks and connections to kind of get some ideas on how to get that moving forward. Conduct some continuity and risk planning for local critical infrastructure. We've, you know, just in passing, I've had some conversations with some folks who would like to see us, you know, do some joint training, some joint exercises, and look at what they have going on, specifically the school districts. Something that we haven't done previously is conducted a joint EOC activation exercise. So the city has a lot of technology invested at the police department. We want to make sure that we exercise and get that out and make sure that it's in working condition and that we have a seamless transition. And then really a big one is conduct a gap analysis of our current training programs and certification requirements for all staff. So when we say all staff, we mean all staff. So, you know, Public Works, they respond to disasters. So what requirements do they need to have as far as incident command training or incident management? Same on the city side, and really building a repository of, okay, if this is your job role, these are the EM requirements that are required of those positions, and really building that and making sure that we're staying on top of that. So that's a lot of information. It's you know, a lot of work in a very short amount of time. I didn't want to get too far into the weeds as far as what this all ultimately looks like without getting further direction of, you know, this is the path that we want to choose. So happy to answer any questions or discussion points.
Yeah.
I got credit or blame, I don't know.
No, you got credit for
Well,
planting
you
the
brought me
seed,
up, 'cause then
man.
I can't vote against it if I brought the idea up.
Well, you can.
No, we were talking about, we had a couple of the stars in EMS, and they had been actually kind of helping with emergency management processes and behind the scenes stuff way over my head, technology stuff and things, and we appreciate that. So Chief proposed the idea. I didn't know exactly how I was gonna receive it at first either, because I kinda thought it needed to be separate, but the way funding's going right now, we could lose a lot of funding for emergency management. And this may be something that would be forced on us anyway at some point, and it's a financial positive. Let's try it for a year, and I'm gonna be that first person that sits there and says, well, once you try it, you can't go and take their salary away, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And we gotta step back and revisit. We interviewed several people that I think were qualified. I know you said they weren't qualified.
Well,
They just
didn't meet our,
weren't
they
good
didn't meet
fits.
our needs.
They didn't fit, and
Yeah.
so we looked at some different ideas. I don't know, I think it should work out just fine. I was more worried about if there was an incident, you know, how does chief backfill their positions? But he's had good answers for everything that I've thrown at him.
You know, one of the things that I think is important to, and this will be me standing and bragging about my people, but I think both of them would be excellent fits if they would have taken the opportunity to apply and been a director on their own. I think both of them would be more than capable of doing so. But again, it comes back to finances, and it would have ultimately been a pay cut for both of them to leave my organization to do this on their own. So, you know, I think this is a way to leverage good people, maybe augment the salary to, without impacting the overall budget, making a positive. But I believe that both of them have demonstrated that they are more than capable of handling these positions. And to get two for the price of one, I think, you know, is really kind of a no-brainer at this point.
We really didn't have much option, you know. Fortunately, when our past director left, we had Bill, and we could bring him back for 1,000 hours. Well, he's pretty much used all those thousands of hours, it's 1,000 hours. And so we have to have an emergency management director, department, we're required to by law. So this I think is a good option for what we need, and you know, it gives us some time. If it works, we're gonna say, hey man, this is the greatest thing. If it doesn't work, then we can repost the position.
Yep.
and try to fill it. But I think this is really a well thought out plan, so.
I'm glad you got into the weeds a little bit with Bill, because you started this by saying he was running out of time. Check the record. I think that's what you said.
I did.
Which
It's
could
1,000 hours.
have alarmed him and other people. That
He's
was.
indestructible. I don't think
But-
it'll work for nothing.
I agree, and he's done a great job, but unfortunately, we live under certain rules that say if a part-time employee hits a certain number of hours, he becomes a permanent employee, and it impacts especially those who are already on retirement. So it would be disastrous, and we need to save a little cushion for some things that you're gonna call Bill for between now and the end of calendar 25.
Yeah, so I think that that's an important piece that you know, I mean, since we kind of brought it up, and, you know, I wish that we would have had the ability to dig into this a little bit deeper. I know a lot of people are hearing about this for the first time. There are some very in-depth conversations that have happened. Bill and I have briefly talked about this, but, you know, obviously with somebody with that level of experience and institutional knowledge, we want to make sure that there is a gap so that Bill can continue to be here and mentor and, you know, make sure that we don't lose anything. So I haven't talked to him about it, but I hope you will stay and continue to support the organization. But yeah, so, you know, that is an important aspect that, yes, Bill does have an hours limit, and we don't want to push him right up to that, and nor do we want to end up in a position where we're out of hours and now we don't have a solution. So it goes for.
Somebody's planning a trip. Flight arrangements.
So I think, sorry, I don't, you have. So I think a couple of the big things, we've talked about pay, and we can kind of get into that in the nitty gritty. I do have pay forms that I've sent to both of you, but really I think the big thing to come out of this, I can't sign my own job description, so you know, if you do want to go down this road, I have the updated job description for Chief of Emergency Services, which then also lists the ability to manage administratively this proposal, and we can kind of handle the rest of this in-house. So unless Jill has any other thoughts about what we need to summarize in a motion, otherwise I have a job description to approve.
So we need to approve this or just sign?
Yes, I think we should approve it.
Okay. I'll make a motion to vote to approve the Chief of Emergency Services proposal and job description as proposed. Yes.
Are we doing all three or one, or what are we doing?
So
Or one at a time?
So you have my job description. I can administer their job
Okay,
descriptions at a later date. The issue that remains is the 2 pay forms for these individuals, and there's some timing as far as step raises between now and the 1st of next month. I think Commissioner Helsher has a valid point, so I need to update these forms, but it would just be for 1 pay period's time, and then they would come back to what I sent you yesterday.
I'm gonna change my motion to, want to make a motion to approve the Chief of Emergency Services job description.
Second.
Any other discussion?
Which is just basically, there's some underlying changes in there. I don't know if you wanna see them.
I think I've
Include
seen,
the presentation
right?
today.
They're already
Yeah, okay.
online?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I've
sent
seen
it to you. Yep.
And then the other stuff will just be housekeeping
Yep.
stuff under the chief.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Missouri State Tax Commission letter to the Cole County Assessor dated May 30th of 2025. We received a copy of this, and so we would like to present that to our citizens.
On Friday, well, let's just go to Monday. On Monday of this week, we learned that on Friday, probably late Friday, a letter from the State Tax Commission signed by all 3 commissioners went to our county assessor, and it went to our county clerk, and our county clerk forwarded it to the 3 commissioners on Monday. And I asked that it be placed on the agenda. And when I asked for that, I also asked for the assessor to be notified it was coming on the agenda and he'd be invited to attend, which he hasn't. And I wanted to read one paragraph from the letter. I'm sorry, 2 paragraphs. This is coming from the 3 commissioners of the State Tax Commission. The 2023 Cole Residential Sales Study found your residential values to be below market value. Our office has made multiple attempts to contact you by phone and email to discuss this matter and to work with you regarding a residential memorandum of understanding for the 2025 Cole County assessment roll. Consequently, state reimbursement monies will only be distributed to the county assessment fund if the county is in compliance with the State Tax Commission approved assessment maintenance plan. A reply of the county's circumstances, intended actions, and time frame to complete necessary steps to bring the county in compliance shall be sent by the assessor to the State Tax Commission before any assessment maintenance funds are released by our agency. The other paragraph reads as follows. Assessment representatives of our local assistance team have and will continue to address areas of concern with you and are always available to assist with any further analysis needed to develop a successful course of action. So there's a danger that the county of Cole will not receive approximately $117,000 from the state tax commission for, it's almost like $3 per parcel, I believe, and there's 30-some thousand parcels involved. I wanted to mention a couple other things. I received a phone call yesterday from the incoming assessor. And a lot of folks are confused about who to call, apparently, about the maybe approximately 13,000 notices, I'm assuming, were sent out to residential property owners in this county that said we're proposing an increase to your value. And so some of those folks are calling the recently elected but not serving candidate for assessor. He's not the person to call. The person to call is the current Cole County assessor, who serves until midnight on August the 31st of this year. The new assessor begins, I guess, at midnight when the turnover occurs. When it mentions this residential sales study, I believe that over the last 3 studies, the results for the Cole County have been in generally these numbers. 94%, which was a passing score. Above 90 and below 110 is a passing score. So not the current, not the previous, but the one before that, about a 94% number, which was passing. The next report 2 years later was at 83.9 or 84%. It was failing, and that resulted in the MOU. The most recent one, which has not yet been published completely, but we're learning those results, it was 67%. So that's what has precipitated the MOU. Earlier, we've been learned from the State Tax Commission that if the MOU is not followed, there may be repercussions to the Board of Equalization. We don't know how that would work, but there was also the warning about not being paid the per parcel amount by the State Tax Commission, which is, as I said, somewhere in the $117,000 area. I think that's what I wanted the public to know about this. If you have a problem, and it says it on the form that you received with the number, you discuss that with the current serving assessor, not the one to come start on September 1.
So when I saw that letter, I was curious how many other counties got that letter, if they've
well,
been able, because I mean, we're so far out
a
of
lot.
compliance, are we able to even get them
I think,
within compliance in 1 year?
I had heard at one time that 85% of the assessors in the state were not compliant. Later, I think I've heard 74%, but it is the majority of assessors in Missouri are not passing the sales ratio study.
So, okay. I've had calls about the changes in assessments as well, and if you do have a question, the first step is to call the assessor's office, and you can set up an informal meeting with them. I guess you don't necessarily have to do that, but I would try to settle it with them if there's some differences. I know they've changed them, otherwise you can appeal the valuation. And in that case, then you call the county clerk's office, and they'll send you the form. There's not a form online that I know of that you can get. They'll send it out to you. So that's kind of how that works out, and then you fill it out, and they'll set it up, and it's got to be submitted by July 14th.
15,
Is that
I
15th?
think.
Okay, so we can double check them dates, but the BOE, then you can come in front of the Board of Equalization and bring your case to us. There's some that have gone up significantly, and mine went up, so I got the letter too.
If you look at your parcel number for your residence, and it starts 09 or 10 or 14, you probably received a notice. If it starts with any other number, you probably did not receive a notice unless perhaps you have some new construction that was determined or found by the assessor.
And I think they went out last week, so
They
you may
did.
still be getting it. But, yeah, so the county clerk's gonna probably not want us just broadcasting this today. Your phones are gonna be blowing up, Dawn. Tell Chloe to get ready. So,
That's fine.
And I don't know if this is the case, but talking to one citizen, and she had called the assessor, and they suggested she come before the BOE, but that she get a current appraisal of her property to bring with her to the BOE. So I don't know if that is, but anyway, that's what she was told by the assessor when she called, so,
Anything that helps, any kind of
Yeah.
evidence to make a better decision. And the deadline is that Monday, July 14th. It's always the second Monday of the month in July.
okay. Well, you're not required to have a certified appraisal to come to BOE. You can come up here and you can argue it on your own behalf, but if
Yeah.
it's by a certified appraiser, it's gonna hold more
Yeah.
water, so.
anyway, that was just what she was told, so again, it's, you know, hearsay, it's, but anyway, okay. So we just wanted to let our citizens know where we stand, so I think this is adequate. Do we have any unfinished business?
I just want to bring up the juvenile center because there were a couple articles in the paper and with we're not getting the state funding, that we are moving ahead with it. I want to make sure I didn't say quote that wrong or whatever, but I figured we were, whether I agree on the price tag or not. Then there was some work that was done on the Pringer Center and stuff we got the grant for. Some of it we had to have done to keep the Pringer Center running. So it had to be done, otherwise we'd be housing these kids somewhere else and shutting it down. And then some of that will be able to be transferred over to the new place. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that, because I know you had to read that and go, tell her we spending money on this for, and we can't, we're gonna be closing it down, building a new one, so. But just to verify, we are moving on, and that's where that money, the grant money was for. Keep us open and it will transfer over.
Okay. Anything else? If not, I would entertain a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to section 610.021 of the revised statutes of Missouri. The commission will go into closed session to discuss the following. Under personnel issues, section 610.021 subsection 3.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Sam,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Elizabeth,
Yes, sir.
on this, I pulled up that email on go, I didn't.
I appreciate that.